Welcome back, folks, to WWE Network and Chill. I'm Graham Jason Matthews, and right here on WWE Network and Chill, I review all the original programming that I watch on the WWE Network. And for the next couple of weeks, we're talking about Season 1 of Total Divas. As we talked about in the previous two episodes, Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2. If you haven't already checked them out, please do so. The first episode is kind of an introductory episode to the Divas of the show, including Natalya, Naomi/Trinity, Cameron/Ariane, Nikki and Brie Bella, and JoJo and Eva Marie, the cast of of Season 1 of Total Divas. And Season 2 is all about Eva kind of fucking up with Fandango, about in terms of being his new dancer. It's a funny story, not really realistic in the slightest, but a funny story nevertheless. But Episode 3, Planet Funk is Funked Up. And this episode is really all about the primary focus. It seems like every episode has a central theme, and this one is kind of a couples fighting, or the Bella Twins fighting, Naomi and Jimmy Uso fighting about a variety of things, so we'll talk about that. JoJo and her boyfriend fighting, so a lot of fighting, a lot of turmoil going on in this episode. So we kick off the show with Bryan and Brie deciding that they're moving to Phoenix, which is where Brie lives. Bryan lives in Washington, I forget. Yeah, he lives in Washington, doesn't he? Yeah, something. I completely forgot. But they're moving to where Brie lives, and that doesn't really bode too well for Nikki, or at least Brie knows for a fact that Nikki's not going to take the news well, just because they both live in San Diego, they do stuff all the time together, but moving to Phoenix would be easier, specifically for the dog, so that's where the Bella Twins' rest of their family lives, the mom and the brother JJ, and Mama Bella as they call her, so that's where they live. So if they're on the road a lot, Bryan and Brie are both obviously wrestlers, as are Nikki and John, but Nikki and John don't have kids. Neither do Brie and Bryan at this point, but they don't have a dog either. Brie and Bryan do, that they have to take care of, and taking it to Phoenix is the better option. So the whole big issue here is that Brie has to break the news to Nikki and how she's going to take it. Naomi, we get an introduction to her in the episode. I mean, we've already been introduced to Naomi, but the whole big thing in this episode of Naomi is that during her matches, during her media appearances, she doesn't always wear a ring, and John doesn't like that too much. John had proposed to her. They're engaged. They're, fiance at this point. They're engaged to be married at some point. But John doesn't really like the fact that Naomi doesn't always wear a ring. She discusses later. She explains later why that is, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we see Eva and JoJo training with Bill DeMott, which is funny in retrospect, considering that Bill DeMott has been he was accused of bullying talent and just punishing talent and stuff like that, and harassing talent, I think is the perfect word, was Bill DeMott in 2015, which led to his ultimate departure. But during Eva and JoJo's training session, JoJo gets hurt. She suffered a mini concussion. She didn't take the she didn't take the back body drop well, or whatever move it was. She suffered a concussion. So she gets really hurt by that, and she kind of questions whether she wants to continue doing this, whether this business is cut out for, blah, blah, blah. So Naomi explains. We get to go back to Naomi and John/Jimmy Uso. I mean, I know we have two Johns in the show. I'll just call him Jimmy Uso. I think it's easier to differentiate him between him and John Cena. But Naomi explains that she doesn't wear a ring during her matches and while she's working as a diva is because the divas have to look available, which is absolutely true. I could see why John/Jimmy Uso would be mad at that. That his fiance isn't always wearing his ring, isn't always wearing her ring and whatever. And he feels like it's a sign of disrespect, that she doesn't love him, but that's not the case whatsoever. I can absolutely see where Naomi's coming from here, just because she's 100% right. The divas have to look available. I feel like that was more so the case many years ago when we had the bras and panties matches and shit. And this show really kind of broke down that barrier in terms of the divas looking available, because at this point, it's even openly acknowledged on TV that Brie and Bryan are an item, Nikki and John are an item, Natalya and Tyson Kidd and all these other divas are in a relationship. So we've already really kind of broken in that barrier a long time ago, that we know that they're not available, but they need to look at it as available as possible, just so they can appeal to the masses and make it seem like, oh, I want to be with that diva kind of thing. It makes sense from a business standpoint, so I can see where she's coming from. John doesn't really like that explanation too much. So after that, Brie has to break the news to Nikki. She does not take it too well that she's leaving to Phoenix. Nikki, a very, very selfish person, like I said. If there's anyone that on this show that comes off horribly, other than Natalya, who just comes off as annoying, Nikki just does not come off as a great person on the show more often than not, at least in season 1. And that was certainly the case in this episode, as she hears the news that Brie doesn't really kind of outright say we're moving to Phoenix. She kind of slowly goes into it and says, oh, we're preparing to move and stuff like that. She just kind of hints at it before breaking the news ultimately that they are moving to Phoenix. Like I said, Nikki does not take it too well, gets very pissed at her sister, that she would be leaving her in San Diego, God forbid. But anyway, so after that, they have to meet up with the directors. Brie is super late because all she is talking about, all she's busy with nowadays is packing. So again, while I agree with Brie that I'm 100% in her camp when it comes to moving, you'll notice, by the way, in many of these reviews going forward, it seems like there's two sides to every argument. I will pick sides with these arguments, and I got to take Team Brie here, and that she's absolutely right to be moving back to Phoenix because it just offers better opportunities for her, Brian, and especially the dog Josie. But anyway, at this point, I could see where Brie is at fault. So they go to a meeting where they meet with directors for a potential movie role or whatever. Nikki's there on time. She's talking to the director saying, Brie's just parking the car. A half an hour goes by. Brie doesn't show up, and she's super, super late to the meeting, and she ends up showing up. She apologizes, doesn't look too professional, and obviously Nikki's not too happy about that, building even more tension between the two sisters. After that, we get introduced to JoJo's boyfriend, Sebastian. So I think I'm trying to think if we've been introduced to everyone's boyfriend by this point in the show. By this point in episode 3 of Total Divas, we already know that Eva's engaged to Jonathan. We know that Nikki and John are an item. We know that Brie and Brian are an item. We know that Natalya and Tyson Kidd are an item. And we know that Trinity and John Uso are an item. And Ariane and Cameron as well. But yeah, we get introduced to JoJo's boyfriend, Sebastian, who she had known from back home, had been the love of his life, blah, blah, blah. And he, after spending some time together, JoJo says, well, I got to go to practice. And he's not too happy about that. He's kind of selfish about it and says, well, it's not really working out for me. You got to spend more time with me, acting like a total bitch. And again, in this case, I got to go Team JoJo. I mean, she's got to go to work. She's got to go to work. It's not like she's not spending time with him because she doesn't want to spend time with him. It's because she's got to work. And that's the lifestyle of a diva. She's training. She's doing all this other stuff. And if she doesn't go, she gets fired and it looks bad on her, obviously. Or the other way around. It looks bad on her, and then later he gets fired. He doesn't really seem to see that, and like I said, he said it's not really working out for him, even causing her more stress and forcing her to choose between her job and him. So that's a huge ultimatum going into the rest of the episode. After that, we see Trinity and John training, and they're fighting a little bit that Naomi's not really there, and she's kind of hesitant to do one of the moves to John Uso, and she ends up landing wrong for one of the moves, and her head's not really on straight because, the two are fighting at this point in time. It's not really working out, and Jimmy Uso brings up the fact that they're fighting to build them up. Naomi doesn't really appreciate that, once again, building more tension between the two. So JoJo's indecisive. She doesn't know what she wants to do. Eva brings up the fact that you've been training so hard, you're throwing away your entire life by tossing this career in the trash in favor of a guy that doesn't really respect your passion, what you want to do in the WWE, and that you can't choose. I mean, you got to pick one or the other, but he's got to be loyal to your passion, to your job, and whatever, and you just got to move forward, and you got to go with your job. I mean, if he's not going to be supportive, that's his own fault. You got to go with your job. And JoJo, as much sense as Eva makes in that one moment, which I hate to say, but Eva does make a lot of sense. The same girl who kind of fucked up in the previous 2 episodes and that lied to management back to back, and she's still employed because she's super hot. That's really the only reason why she's still there at this point. But JoJo is indecisive. So then we go back to Brie's place. They're packing up for Phoenix. Her and Brian, they invite Nikki over. Nikki brings over a box. And they're just talking about what they're doing and packing. And Nikki doesn't really help. She just kind of sits on the couch, so I don't know why she's there to begin with. But she just goes off on Brie and Brian, saying they're selfish. They shouldn't move. You're not really thinking about me. Blah, blah, blah. Just disrespecting both of them in their own home. And then acting really, really sassy, and she walks out. And that's the big blow-up between Nikki and Brie. And Nikki is, once again, like I said, 100% in the wrong here. And, Brie shouldn't be talking all about the move and kind of shoving it in Nikki's face, knowing that it's already hurt her feelings. But Nikki really shouldn't have blown up the way that she did. And again, I know all this is scripted, but I'm just pointing out my thoughts on each situation. Don't make fun of me, please. But anyway, after that, we see Natty talking to JoJo after practice, kind of getting, a scoop on what's going on, kind of consoling her. And she just outright says that he's not really worth your time, and she doesn't really take that too well. She walks right out of practice, crying outside the building, and Natalya consoles her, but she's right. I mean, the son of a bitch isn't really worth her time if he's not really supportive of her passion, of her job, and whatever else. So then we go from there to Nikki Bella and John in the car, and Nikki just complains to John and says that, I just blew up my sister, blah, 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 expecting him to take her side, but he makes a lot of good sense and kind of talks some sense into Nikki and being her significant other, that he doesn't, automatically take her side. He rather kind of points her in the right direction and says, well, I think you're looking at it from your lens a little too much and not really looking at it from their perspective. And I think you're the one that's acting a little selfish. But he doesn't, be a complete dick about it. He says it in a nice way. He didn't have to, but he did. And Nikki just kind of sees the wrongs in her ways and later apologizes to Brie, which I'll get to momentarily. So John and Trinity, after all the tension in Mateen's throughout the entire episode, all the tension culminates in a one-off fight at their apartment where they're talking about what the next step is. And they can't really take that next step if Trinity doesn't want to wear a ring everywhere. But she explains, I love you, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing it for business reasons. He gets really, really mad at the fact that he doesn't know what he wants to do, if he even wants to get married at this point, if they should break up, what the future of their relationship is. He smacks one of those candles or some glass, and that just so happened to be laying on the table. So that seems scripted to me very, very much so. And that there was just, there's a random-ass glass on the table, and it just gets smacked off by John Uso. It was a very scary moment, I'm sure, for Naomi to see that, considering the fact that he smashed against the wall, made this huge noise and whatever else before he stormed out. So that was the big blow up to their fight on this episode. Like I said, John already talked to Nikki. So I'm looking at my notes here. What's next? So Nikki apologizes to Brie for blowing up. They make up, blah, blah, blah. Brie says they should have looked at it from your point of view. So they make up. All's well and good in the Bella family. Trinity talks to John backstage at one of the shows. They make up, they're just fine. It's just a matter of talking it through. So once again, they talk it through. They're fine. Or even before that, they have like an intergender tag team match where I think it's the Funkadactyls and Tons of Funk versus the Bella Twins and the Usos. For whatever reason, the Usos at that point were heel anyway. And the Bella Twins are kind of like flirting with Jimmy Uso before the bout, kind of teasing even more attention in storyline and in real life. And then Naomi has to get in the ring with Jimmy Uso, despite the fact that women are supposed to face women and men are supposed to face the men in these intergender tag team matches. That's not the case here. She goes right after Jimmy Uso, lays him out the rear ass, the rear view, whatever. So they kind of go one-on-one. They just so happen to be on separate teams for the first time ever, right in the midst of their feud, right in the midst of their bad blood at this point in time. So again, super scripted, but it worked for the show. But like I said, they talk things through. They're all right. And then JoJo finally makes her decision. She is going to leave Sebastian. It's best to break up. Her passion is her job. He has been the love of her life for basically her entire life. And JoJo is 19 years old, so she's the youngest of the bunch. But she realizes that she's got to stick to her job, got to stick to her guns, and continue to chase her dream and one day becoming a WWE diva. And that does not involve the unsupportive Sebastian. So, see ya, sucker. But that ends the episode of Total Divas called, I'm going to look at my notes here, Planet Funk is Funked Up. Very creative titles, these episodes of Total Divas. But that is episode 3. And if you've already listened to all these reviews and checked out the episodes, thanks for checking them out. I appreciate it. I enjoy the show. If you don't, I'm sorry, but they're well worth checking out. On the WWE Network, seasons 1 through 5 are available. Check out episodes 1, 2, and 3 from season 1 on the network. And like I said earlier, like I've said in the previous 2 episodes of Network and Chill, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but at least give the show a try. Give it a test through. Give it a run through by checking out the first few episodes. And if you don't like it, you don't like it, but just some of these parts are interesting to kind of see the behind the scenes and how WWE works in some respects. And a lot of it is scripted, obviously, but it can be entertaining from time to time. And just the even scripted parts, just to see how very scripted they are, can be entertaining at times too. So that is episode 3 of Total Divas. And obviously my next edition of WWE Network and Chill will be breaking down season 1, episode 4 of Total Divas. So until next time, guys, I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch you folks down the road.